Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm excited to kick off today's presentation on note-making. This is the first slide, so I want to briefly introduce our topic. We'll be exploring effective strategies for taking and organizing notes. Throughout this session, I'll share tips and techniques to help you improve your note-making skills. Let's get started. Now, moving on to slide 2, which is all about why note-making is important. This is a crucial part of our overall theme because good note-taking can really enhance your learning and retention. When you make notes, you're actively engaging with the material, which helps you understand it better. It also makes it easier to review and recall information later on. Think of it as creating a personalized roadmap of your learning journey. So, paying attention to how and why we take notes can make a big difference in how effective our study sessions are. This slide sets the stage for understanding the significance of note-making in a way that's both practical and impactful. Let's start by looking at the definition of note-making. Essentially, note-making is the practice of capturing information from another source. It's about recording the key points or the essence of what you're learning or hearing. The main goal here is to focus on what's most important, so you're not trying to write down everything verbatim. Instead, you're distilling the information into notes that make sense to you later. By taking notes, you're actually freeing your mind from the burden of trying to remember every detail. This way, your brain can focus on understanding and processing the information in the moment, knowing that your notes will help you recall the key ideas later. This practice is really central to effective learning and studying because it allows you to actively engage with the material rather than passively receive it. It's a powerful tool that supports better retention and comprehension, which ties into our overall theme of making learning more efficient and effective. Why note-making is important is a great question. You see, we simply can't memorize everything we read or learn. There's just too much information to hold in our minds at once. That's where summarizing comes into play. By taking notes, we're able to capture the key points and relevant details in a condensed form. This makes it easier to review and remember later on. Note-making helps anyone who wants to turn a large amount of information into a brief, organized summary. Think of it as creating a handy reference that you can easily refer back to whenever needed. It keeps the information accessible and manageable, supporting your overall learning process. So, effective note-making is really about making the learning more efficient and more effective, aligning perfectly with our goal of mastering the material. Let's take a closer look at some important points to keep in mind. First, the importance of developing advanced writing skills has grown significantly, especially in our age of knowledge explosion. As information multiplies rapidly, being able to communicate effectively in writing becomes more crucial than ever. Next, when it comes to the skills required, it's not just about writing alone. Good reading and listening skills are essential because they help us gather relevant information and understand different perspectives, which then inform our writing. Moving on, relevance is key. We should always aim to write only about important and pertinent information. This keeps our writing focused and impactful. Of course, every piece should have a clear title, giving the reader an immediate idea of what the content is about. This helps organize the information and makes it easier to follow. Now, because writing can be quite complex, it involves combining several skills, like critical thinking, organizing ideas, and expressing ourselves clearly. It's not just a simple task, but one that requires a good balance of these abilities. Brevity also plays an important role. Our notes and writing should be concise and to the point. Keeping things brief helps ensure our message isn't lost or diluted. Furthermore, information should be presented in a logical order. When ideas flow naturally from one to the next, it makes our writing more understandable and persuasive. And finally, structuring our content properly is vital. We should present information in points, and within those, break down main ideas into subpoints. This layered approach helps us organize complex ideas clearly and systematically. Overall, mastering these points can significantly enhance our writing skills, making our communication more effective and impactful in any professional or academic setting. All right, let's talk about the format. First, we have the title, which sets the stage for this section. Under that, there's a subpoint that helps break down the main idea. Moving to the main point, this is where we really hone in on the core concept. Within that, you'll see a subpoint, which is a smaller supporting idea. Then, there's an I and Roman 2. These are sub-subpoints, giving us even more detail and clarity. Think of them as layers of a story, each building on the last. Next, there's a B subpoint, offering an alternative or additional aspect of the main point. The key here is to understand that this structure helps us organize information clearly and efficiently. It ensures our message is easy to follow, especially when presenting complex ideas. Remember, the goal is to connect these points back to our overall theme, showing how each piece fits into the bigger picture. This format isn't just about structure. It's about making our message compelling and easy to understand. Let's take a closer look at a sample to see how these concepts come together in practice. Here, we're illustrating a real-world example that highlights the key points we've discussed so far. By examining this sample, you'll be able to better understand how to apply these ideas effectively in your own work. Remember, the goal is to connect theory with practice, making these ideas more tangible and easier to implement. So, as we walk through this example, keep in mind the overall theme of the presentation and think about how these principles can be adapted to your specific context. Now, let's talk about some common pitfalls to avoid when note-making. First, never use diagrams in your notes. They can often clutter the page and distract from the key information. Instead, focus on clear, concise text. Second, avoid starting your notes with a verb. Starting with a verb can make your notes feel incomplete or abrupt. Instead, begin with a noun or a subject to set the context. Third, try not to abbreviate every word. While abbreviations can save time, overusing them can make your notes confusing. Use one well-known abbreviation per point to maintain clarity. Fourth, steer clear of writing unnecessary facts. Including only relevant information keeps your notes focused and useful. Fifth, avoid repeating the same information multiple times. Repetition wastes space and time and can make reviewing more difficult. Next, don't use confusing abbreviations. They can lead to misunderstandings later on. Lastly, remember to keep your notes straightforward and easy to understand, always connecting back to the overall goal of effective note-taking.